Julia Pastrana was a 19th-century Mexican performer who gained worldwide fame for her unique appearance. She was born with a rare genetic condition called hypertrichosis terminale, which caused excessive hair growth all over her body, along with a prominent jaw and gums that made her teeth protrude, giving her a distinct appearance. Despite the challenges she faced, Julia went on to become a successful performer and toured the world showcasing her unique appearance. In this video, we will explore her life story, from her birth to her untimely death, and how her legacy has lived on through the years. This is the story behind the myth. This is the story of Julia Pastrana, the Mexican ape woman. Julia Pastrana was born in Sinaloa, Mexico in 1834. She was born with a rare genetic condition called hypertrichosis terminale. Her mother, an indigenous woman, protected her from the curious eyes of the crowd. Due to Julia's simian appearance, she caused disgust and fear in her community. She was a synonymous of sin. Some people even thought she was a hybrid product of a relationship between a human and an orangutan. Julia's mother died when she was 4 years old. She was later adopted as a servant in the house of the then governor of Sinaloa, Pedro Sanchez. There she learned to read, write, and little by little she discovered other talents that were hidden under that layer of hair. When Julia turned 20 years old, the governor sold her to the administrator of the maritime customs of Sinaloa, Francisco Sepulveda, who saw in her as a potential gold mine. He then exploited her by turning her into a circus attraction. In 1854, Julia began her career as a performer with Sepulveda's circus, traveling to different parts of the world to showcase her appearance. She was billed as the Wolf Woman and the Ape Woman in various sideshows and carnivals. Julia was a very talented individual who could sing, dance, and performed acrobatics while riding a horse. She packed the places with people who attended to see her performances in cities such as Warsaw, Moscow, and London. Julia became a sensation wherever she went, and was often praised for her beauty and grace despite her unusual appearance. Despite the success she achieved as a performer, Julia was often subjected to cruel treatment from her handlers. She was treated like a spectacle and denied basic human rights, including the right to privacy and dignity. Her handlers often made her perform in front of large crowds who would gawk at her and ridicule her appearance. If you are enjoying this chronicle story, please hit the subscribe button. In 1854, Julia met Theodor Lent, a German showman and impresario, a man who would become her manager and later her husband. In 1857, Lent and Julia were married in a public ceremony in Moscow, Russia. Lent bought Julia from Francisco Sepulveda and made her the centerpiece of his show, but their marriage added a new level of spectacle to their act. They traveled throughout Europe and the United States, performing in front of large crowds who were fascinated by Julia's unique appearance. Despite the attention and financial success that Lent and Julia enjoyed, their marriage was not a happy one. Lent was known to be abusive towards Julia, both physically and emotionally, and he frequently used her as a means of making money. During her travels, Julia became pregnant with Lent's child, and luckily for Lent and his income, Julia's son was born with the same conditions as her, hypertrichosis terminalis, but the little one died 36 hours after his birth. Days later, Julia died from labor complications. Theodore opted to sell the bodies to a scientist in Moscow, who embalmed their bodies and put them on display. Months later, Lent struggled financially. He realized he could make a fortune with his wife and son's corpses in his hands. With his marriage certificate claimed the bodies once again, Theodore started to give presentations or rented the bodies to other circus museums or any event that could generate money for him. Years later, Lent married another bearded woman from Sweden. He called her Julia Pastrana, the lost sister. Lent opened a new circus with Julia, and with the mummies in his power, he became wealthier than ever. In the 1880s, Lent and Julia retired at St. Petersburg, Russia, where they bought a waxworks museum. Theodore wasn't able to enjoy his retirement for long because he became ill and was sent to a lunatic asylum where he died. Julia inherited the rights to own the embalmed bodies. She sold Julia and her son to the highest bidder. Over the course of the next 100 years, the mummies changed hands countless times, being sold to German fairs, an Austrian circus, and a Norwegian chamber of horrors. In 1979, the police were called to a Norwegian storage unit after vandals broke in. To their surprise, they found a female mummy next to a mutilated baby that had been eaten by mice. The police confiscated what was left of the female mummy and took it to the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Oslo. The mummy was identified as Julia Pastrana through forensic testing. After years of legal battles, her body was finally returned to Mexico and buried in 2013 in a ceremony attended by local officials and indigenous people who wanted to honor Julia's memory and reclaim her as a symbol of their cultural heritage. Julia Pastrana was a remarkable woman who overcame adversity and became a celebrated performer despite being treated as a freak for most of her life. Her story is a testament to the power of resilience and the human spirit. However, her life also highlights the need for greater respect and dignity for all people, regardless of their physical appearance. Julia's legacy has lived on through the years, and her story continues to inspire people today to treat others with kindness and respect. Thank you for watching this video. Please share your thoughts in the comments below.